See, my mom was mentally insane. My dad was an alcoholic, but not only that, from kindergarten to 5th grade, I was abused almost every single day of my life. And I'm not talking about abused where, you get a whooping for being bad. I'm talking about drug out of my bed at 3 o'clock in the morning by the hair of my head, thrown outside in nothing but underclothes in 30 to 40 degree weather, only left time to come back into the house and get myself ready for school. I'm talking about at 7 years old, my mother, a person who's supposed to care and love her child, let a man climb in my bed and take something that I could never get back. I sit beside people like you every single day in school, and the hatred that was spewed out to me because I looked different, because I didn't dress the way that everybody else dressed. My hair was messed up. I didn't have good shoes. I didn't have nice clothes. On top of that, I was physically abused. I was sexually abused, and I was scared to death just to be living. And it got so bad that I wanted to go back home and just be in that abuse and rather go to school and be in abuse there. And I'm just wanting a friend, man. I'm just wanting somebody to talk to me in this school. Instead of making fun of me every single day, just one individual, if they would just say, hey, it would have made my day. Brandy Busby in 5th grade was a head cheerleader, and she smelled amazing. Oh my gosh, she smelled amazing. Females have like baby powder DNA. Now listen, females can run 5 laps around the gym, walk by you, and you sit there like, man, who's wearing baby powder? And it's like the female. I was standing by my locker one day. I had a long sleeve shirt on. You should have seen how I was dressed. I had a long sleeve turtleneck shirt on in August with leather pants with Lone Ranger shoes. Everybody else had Nikes, man. I had Lone Rangers. And I don't know if you know who Lone Ranger is, but man, it wasn't the most popular shoe in the world. It costs like, I think you buy one shoe, you get the other one free. It was like $4.99. So I'm standing at my locker getting my books with my head down, and all of a sudden I see her come up. I know it's her because I can smell her. And she's standing beside my locker. My heart's beating, man, like, guys, you know what I'm talking about. Don't be hard. Don't be cool today. You know what I'm talking about. When a beautiful female is beside you, she smells amazing. You're scared to death because you're afraid you're going to say something stupid. Usually you do say something stupid. Girls just feel sorry for us. We think we nailed it, and girls go to the bathroom with their friends, and they're like, bless his heart. And Brandy slowly turns around. All this is in slow motion. And so she turns around and she looks at me and she says, can I ask you a question? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to think of this knockout line because this head cheerleader had talked to me. And I look at Brandy, it's slow motion, and our eyes make contact and my knees are just like weak. And this is what I said to her. Gosh, you smell so good. She said, I want to just know why you don't talk to anybody. And I told her, I was like, I don't have anybody to talk to. And she said, well, now you do. From this day forward, if you'll let me be your friend, I'll be your friend till we can't be friends no more. And I was like, but what about your friends? She said, I don't come to school to lead friends, to tell him who they should or who they shouldn't like. She said, I come to school to make a difference. She's like, my parents raised me to make good grades and try to change people's lives. She said, I don't know your story. I don't care about your story. She said, but I want to be your friend. And do you know from that day forward, students, the head cheerleader of the school, the most what they call popular girl in the school, she didn't ask for it, but she was given that title, reached out to the guy that nobody would take the time to talk to because nobody cared about what his story was and nobody cared about the things that he was going through. The day that she reached out to me, that night before I had wrote my suicide letter. And do you know what the sad part about my suicide letter was? I didn't even know who to address it to. Man, who loves me? She went home and she made her family invest in me. Mom, Dad, here's this kid. I don't know what his story is, and I don't know what he's going through, but he needs us. And do you know that family took me in? At 16 years old, I had my very first birthday party. They gave it. I had my very first Christmas when I was a teenager. They gave it. They took me to my ball games. They took a chance on a kid that they didn't know, who had no family, nobody that loved him. Did the abuse go away? No, it didn't right away. Did it get easier to cope with? Yes, it did. Because every day I looked forward to going to school because I had a friend. One person became the power of one in Brian Earley's life. Let me finish with a true story that'll hit home with you. So the guy emails me, he says, Brian, you come to speak at my school today. I'm the captain of the basketball team. He said, Brian, I'm good looking. Girls flock to me. I have no problem getting friends. People want to be me. I have a car. I have a nice car. I don't care what my parents do as long as they provide for me. He's like, here's the thing, Brian. I am an arrogant human being. He's like, but I went home after you spoke. And he said, when I walked out, I first said, man, I ain't listening to that dude. He said, that was my attitude. He said, Brian, but when I got home, he said, I was sitting in my bedroom. He said, I looked at a mirror, and he said, soon as my eyes connected with that mirror, he said, man, I broke down in tears. He said, I started thinking about you and your mother and you and your father. And he said, I started thinking, man, I got a mom and father who love me very much and give me everything and sacrifice everything for me. He said, something clicked inside of me. He said, I went to school the next day, and he said, Brian, there's a young girl with black hair who sits across the table from us in lunchroom. Her hair hangs over her face, and he said it was our job every single day to tease this girl and make fun of her, me, my girlfriend, my friends. He said to the point to where my best friend asked her to prom, only to call her the day before prom on the telephone and say, are you kidding me? I would never be seen with you in public. And he said, Brian, it broke my heart, man, that our life was devoted every morning to wake up and make this young girl feel miserable. I told myself in the mirror, if I had one more breath, one more chance, one shot to make a difference in her life, Brian, I was going to do it. And do you know, he told me, Brian, I went and I talked to her, and he said, I told her this, I apologize, my name's so-and-so, I've made your life miserable. She said, Brian, she didn't say a word. Day 2, he went back, she never said a word. Day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, day 8, day 9. And she looked at him and she said, get out of my face. I hate you. I hate your friends. I hate my life. I hate everything that school stands for. I hate my teachers. I hate my family. I hate this place. Leave me alone. You have done nothing but make my life miserable for 2.5 years. And he looked at her and he said, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not going to stop. He said, I will come here all the rest of junior year, all the rest of senior year. He said, if you don't forgive me, I will find where you live. I will hunt you down. I will find out what college you go to, and I will sit in the room, and I will not even go to that college, and I will look at you in that class and say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He said, I am for real. I mean it. Let me be your friend. He said, Brian, she forgave me. Everywhere my junior years, I went, she went. He said, I could care less what my friends thought. But he said, you know what, Brian? I realized because my friends are followers and have no courage, they accepted her. She went to every game. This wasn't a love story. This was just friendship. He broke up with his girlfriend because the girlfriend didn't want any part of what was going on. She didn't think the reputation would come, behold, we're going to win homecoming queen and homecoming king. And I'm like, you know what? Nobody remembers that 10 years from now. But you change a person's life in your high school. Somebody stands on stage one day and tells a story about it. Nobody remembers Brandy being the head cheerleader in 5th grade. But do you know how many people recognize her because of a YouTube video and say, oh my gosh, you're her? No, they don't say you're the one that was the head cheerleader in school. They say you're the one that changed that young man's life. Please tell me what you did different. And you know what she says? I just said kind words. Her kind words changed my life because of her courage. Students, join the fight with me and be the power of one in everyone's life because it saved mine.